You're listening to the Monday Night Community Show with Daniel on BRFM.
So we are hearing those interviews at the moment that I did when I was out and about with the Marine Police. I spent a full day with them. It was a pretty amazing day. And we're now going to be hearing one of the interviews I did, or starting off with one of the interviews I did while we were travelling along on the boat by Queenborough. And it's hard to believe actually that you're travelling along on the boat because it's incredibly quiet. So we've now set off and we're coming along by Queenborough, and are you going to tell us a little bit about what you do when you're out?
Yes, well, like I say, we just come into Queenborough. As we look around, there are lots of yachts either side of the river, and when we come in here, we've got to make sure we're not going to kick up too much of a wash. So we're respectful to who's on their boats, looking out for anyone that might be coming in a little dinghy to get on board the yacht. Last thing we want to do is kick up a lot of wash and knock someone into the water. So we've got lots of yachts here. So a day-to-day patrol, if we're coming down here just generally patrolling, we'll be looking out for anything that's untoward really, that doesn't look right. If we see a boat on the water moving, then we'll come alongside, have a chat with the occupants. If we've got enough staff on board our boat, we may put an officer on board to gather some details from them. And it's a little bit like being a police officer in a car, really. You look for a car that maybe doesn't look quite right. You might want to stop it and get details of who's driving it. It's the same with the boat. We want to make sure that no one's stolen that boat, and boats are very expensive things. So we want to make sure that we're doing our job, and that if we can find a stolen boat, then that'd be great. But ultimately, when we do stop and speak to these people, we don't want to annoy them. We don't want to hold them up. They're out here having fun on their boats, doing their day-to-day business, and the last thing they probably want is a police officer coming alongside and interrupting their day. So we will be as polite as we can. We won't hold them up unnecessarily, and generally, day to day, they like to see us, and we'll give them a wave. If we're not going to stop and talk to them, we'll give everyone a wave as we go past, and it's quite a nice atmosphere, and I think the general public appreciate that as well. So that's what we'll be doing. We'll be using our police officers' intuition and see what we can find as we're going along.
I must say the boats are very sort of stable, and when you see these sort of boats out from the shore, they look like they're moving about quite a bit, but actually when you're on it going slightly faster than we were just now, it feels very almost solid, like you're going on a road almost.
Oh, definitely, yeah, these boats are brilliant. You can take them out in pretty much any condition, and generally you'll feel safe on them. They will stay on the water. Providing you're driving it correctly, you're going to be safe, and it's nice because you feel safe as well. You don't feel like you're going to suddenly fall overboard, and it makes the journey quite pleasant.
So as we left Queenborough and headed on our journey towards the New Sheppey Crossing and the King's Ferry Bridge, I got to do one of the things I think I've always wanted to do, and that's to be on a boat and go under the King's Ferry Bridge as it's lifting. And we were very lucky enough to follow a cargo boat, and I got to do just that. Once we'd got through, we moored up, and I thought I'd asked what exactly is involved when that happens.
Yeah. Basically, there's a set of height underneath the bridge. Small vessels like our rib, we can go along and underneath it without any problems whatsoever. But these big cargo ships, the bridge needs to be lifted. On our larger launch, we can lower our mast, and we can pretty much, if it's low tide, we can get underneath the bridge without them having to lift it by lowering our mast. But anything bigger than our launch, they have to raise the bridge, which they've done now. There's two ships coming through. One's gone into Ridham Dock by the looks of things, and the other one's just leaving. So they're leaving that bridge up, much to the motorists' annoyance probably, but they're leaving that up for the second one to come through, and shortly that bridge will go back down.
We must be pretty lucky to have caught the bridge going up, I would have thought.
Yeah, it's nice to see, especially from the water. You don't get to see it from the water that often, and it's nice with the bridge right up like that, and nice to see the bridge doing what it was designed to do. And you've got the new Sheppey Bridge, like you're saying. That's a very big bridge, and it's nice to go underneath that every now and then as well.
And we've just moored up just beside the bridge at the moment.
Yeah, we're on a pontoon here, just past King's Ferry here. We come along here daily when we're on the water. It's like a little marina. It's got lots of yachts tied up on the buoys here, Sometimes they suffer some thefts when the tide goes out. So we generally come along here as often as we can to see the boats, make sure that no one's on board any. We'll do it at night as well when we're on at night, and just to show a presence as well, and try and deter any would-be criminal from coming down and helping themselves to anything that's on the boat.
So after speaking to Stuart as we were moored up just by the King's Ferry Bridge, I thought I'd speak to Steve a little bit more about what they would deal with in that area. And I must say it was a lovely place to be on the day I went out with the Marine Police, because it's what I would call a real September's bright sunny day. So what sort of things would you typically deal with in this area?
Well, a venue like this, and we're at the King's Ferry Boat Club, is that boats that are moored up on the river are obviously vulnerable to criminals. People will target these sort of venues because on boats there are all sorts of things that are valuable. So things like GPS devices, VHF radios, other electronics. And thieves will come here occasionally to commit damage. Some will even attempt to steal boats. That's not unique here to Kingsfree. It's a problem that affects all open marinas, in effect.
So how would you at the Marine Police tackle that sort of problem, Steve?
We tackle it really in two ways. The first is through education. As you'd appreciate, at the end of the leisure season, people tend to moor up their boats for the winter and perhaps go home, though some will continue. And to those that go home, we would say take all of your valuables with you. Something like a GPS or a VHF radio may not seem very much, but we don't want that going into criminal hands. We don't want them making a profit out of those small electronic items. So taking those things away is a start. And of course they're essential bits of safety kit as well. And we encourage people to look out and report suspicious sightings of people in and around their marina, because the folks that use this and other marinas regularly will know what looks out of place, and I'd encourage them to put a phone call into the police to challenge individuals that look out of place to find out why they're here, offer to help them or see if you can give them some directions to where they want to go. Whatever it is, you want to sort of talk to these people. That tells them you've seen them. You're likely to recognise them again, and that in itself can deter many thieves. The other angle is what we do proactively as police officers. So, for example, we're here today, but at various different shifts, and during the night we will come to venues like this unannounced from the waterside. And also, you recall the Marine Special Constable team of 9 officers that we have, and randomly we will plant those officers in plain clothes in marinas to conduct surveillance in the hope of catching thieves that are coming there. So thieves that think that they can steal from open marinas such as this take the risk of being captured by the Marine Special Constable team, who, as I say, are planted in different marinas from time to time to look out for them.
So we're about to leave the mooring at the King's Ferry Bridge. Where are we going to be off to next, Steve?
Well, we'll retrace our steps, as it were, back along the swell, and we'll stop at Queenborough again briefly, and then a bit later on we'll go further down the Medway.
And we are continuing to listen to those interviews I did when I was out and about and spent a day with the Marine Police. So we're back on our travels, and we're heading up the Medway, and we've just slowed up, and I think you're going to stop here by boat.
Yeah, there's basically, if there's anything out and about on the water, then we'll obviously go and have a chat with them and see who they are. There's a boat up ahead, looks like it's just a fishing boat, lots of rods out, probably nothing untoward at all, just a fishing vessel, chartering out some people for the day. So we'll come alongside, have a bit of a conversation with them, just see where they're from, how long they're going to be out, if they've had any joy really, and see whether or not we need to spend any longer with them. And we can make that assessment from just having a nice chat with them, looking around, seeing what we can see, and if everything looks fine, then we won't hold them up, and we'll just be polite and off we go again. So we're just getting a bit closer now, so we'll call over to them in a minute and have a chat.
And that's exactly what they did. They stopped the boat and had a little chat, and then we carried on our journey up the Medway. And Steve and Stuart come across another boat, and they decided to stop that. And while Stuart was talking to the owners of that boat, I thought it'd be great for me to talk to Steve a little bit about what was happening. So you've just come alongside another boat, Steve. I was wondering if you could tell us what exactly is happening and what you're doing this time.
Yeah, sure. We're just alongside at Thamesport here, and PC Duncan has spotted a small pleasure type fishing craft that we don't recognise. May not be from this area. So what has happened is we've pulled alongside. We've matched speed with this boat so that we can wave to the crew on board and communicate to them our intentions. We've had a quick conversation, boat to boat, and PC Duncan's established that this is a boat that the crew is saying that they've bought only yesterday from Walton-on-the-Naze. It's not from this area, so it's an unfamiliar boat. We just want to check that the account given by the crew is true. It is in fact their boat and who they are. It's also useful to introduce ourselves to them. So what we've done, we've come alongside and we've asked permission to board the boat, and PC Duncan has now gone on board and is taking some details, the name and address and so on of the crew there, so that they're not unnecessarily hindered, and also for the good safe navigation in the channel here. They're continuing. We're doing about just under 8 knots. We're continuing to make way so that their journey is not unnecessarily hindered. We can carry out the work that we need to do to establish the provenance of the vessel and the crew. And then once PC Duncan is satisfied with that, we'll come back alongside and come on board and bring you back onto our boat.
So a typical example of what you do when you're routinely out and about, really?
Yes, that's quite right. I mean, all boats are quite expensive assets. This chap has just related that he spent £5,500 on this second-hand boat, and that's probably at the cheaper end of the spectrum. He's very pleased with it,
yep.
And that's good. But of course, because boats are quite costly, and some leisure craft run into tens of thousands, if not more, they're very attractive to thieves. And thieves will come from all over Europe to steal boats from the UK and take them well onto mainland Europe. So it's important that we do this. It's a way of protecting the assets of leisure users. As you'll know, in the UK, there is a substantial leisure interest in boating. Many people invested millions of pounds overall, from the UK in leisure boating, and it's important that that property is protected for the owners. So we'll do these inquiries. The vast majority will establish that the boats are properly and correctly in the correct hands of the right owners, and our job is done. And we'll get back off their boat with as minimum disruption as possible. Occasionally, you do meet a few people that are quite antagonistic, and that's unfortunate. We do our best to not to cause a problem to people. There are always a few who are problematic, but that's something that we deal with professionally, and then resume our patrol once we're satisfied about the boat.
So we're continuing our travels down the Medway. I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about what's in this area.
Okay, well we've travelled north across the Medway, and we've entered East Hoo Creek just off of the Isle of Grain, and from there we've ventured down that creek into Damhead Creek at the rear of one of the power stations. And what's very interesting here is several things. You can see, looking out close to the shoreline, a number of black lumps that stay on the surface and then disappear for a few minutes and then back again. They're some of the small colony of common seals that stay here. We're at high tide now, so they're all in the water. but at lower states of the tide, you'll see those seals, about 25 of them, out on the mud, sunbathing, and they're a lovely sort of reddy brown colour. They breed here. Now, seals are a protected species, so we'll keep a good distance away from them so that they're not troubled or disturbed by the patrol that we'll necessarily have to do down here. But also we're on the lookout for people that might be here causing a problem to those animals. Vast majority of people that come here, want to take some photographs, no problem at all. But we just make sure they're not being unnecessarily interfered with or disturbed. And over onto the other side of this small creek, you can see a very long, disused and derelict jetty. And just beyond the jetty, on the other side of the small landmass there, you may just be able to see the conical shapes of some derelict German submarines from, I believe, from World War One. You can just see them over there.
Oh yeah,
that were brought over here after the armistice and have deteriorated, and that's quite a popular attraction for tourists and folks exploring in this area.
So after that, we headed back down the Medway, went past Sheerness Docks and out to round the Montgomery, and I must say it was pretty amazing to see that a lot closer than what I've seen it from the shore, and also pretty amazing looking back at the island as well. Once we did that, we headed back into the Sheerness Docks and moored up. I went back to the Marine Police's headquarters. So we're now back at the Sheerness Docks, and we're back in the Marine Police's headquarters there, and we're joined back with Stuart. And I was hoping, now I've been lucky enough to go out on your boat, if you could explain to our listeners a little bit about it.
Yes, no problem. Well, the boat we've been out on today is Rib Seahorse. Rib being a rigid hold inflatable boat. It's got rigid hold and it's got sponsons all the way around it that keeps it afloat, really. It's a 7.5 metre rib and has 250 brake horsepower Yamaha outboard engines on it. Gives you an average speed of about 48 knots and a top speed of 50 knots on a good day. So it can certainly fly along the water there. It's a smooth boat. It's got a VHF radio on it, chart plotter, depth gauge on it, our police radio on it as well, police lights also, which is quite handy at night. If we do want to approach someone who may not know who we are, we can illuminate our blue lights, and it makes them a little bit happier that what's coming fast towards them is a police boat rather than someone nasty. But it's a nice boat, and it's a good boat to take us out on the water.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think I might have said this earlier, I was quite amazed just how smooth it was, and when you're travelling, once you sort of pick up speed, it's almost like you're on a road. It's so sort of smooth. The water feels like it's a solid road. It's an unusual thing to describe.
Yeah, I suppose it's not until you really experience being on board a rib at speed like that on the water that you really realise how it feels. But certainly with a boat like Seahorse, we can trim the engines up to make the ride a lot smoother, and by doing that it rises the bow out of the water and can also increase the speed, but it makes it a lot smoother on the ride, and you feel when you trim back down, the bow digs back in the water, slows it down, and the noise as well of the water washing around the side of the boat increases. But it is a very smooth boat. Even on the roughest days, it's a good handling boat and good. We can go out in any condition really on board that and be nice and safe.
So Steve, it's been a great day. I certainly enjoyed it. I've just been speaking to Stuart. Now we're back at the headquarters, all about the boat that we went out on with you. But I was wondering if you could give us a summary of the day.
Sure. Obviously, locally. Today we've concentrated very much in the local area, so it's been quite a limited snapshot for you of what we do, and there's lots of other aspects of the work counter-terrorist work and body recovery we've not touched on. But the things we've looked at today, obviously we set out early and we went down to Queenborough and into Kingsbury, checking on those sort of open marinas where thieves might want to target them, and we've come back out into the Medway properly. We've done a patrol around some of the industrial sites, and during the day we've come across a number of people, principally looking to establish the provenance of the boats that they're on and that they're sort of lawfully owned, they've not been stolen. And of course you witnessed during that the vast majority of people are very cooperative and helpful, as is the norm for the marine environment, and the occasional individual who behaves in a different way. But and finally, we popped out to Damhead Creek and seen the seals there in the back of the power station, and then on to the wreck of the SS Montgomery before coming back here to base and coming in for, I think, a very welcome cup of tea.
Yeah, no, it's certainly been a good day. It was good for me to see the Montgomery because obviously our listeners probably know our radio station looks out to sea and we could just about see it in the distance, so to be on the other side of it looking back at the island was quite a good experience.
Yeah, it's some really interesting things around the Isle of Sheppey from the water perspective, and it's only when you're out of the water that you can see the island in quite a different and interesting way. I'm glad you've had a good day. It's been a real pleasure for you to be with us. We've really enjoyed your company. Thanks very much, and I hope this has been some interest to your listeners.
No, it's certainly good. And Steve and Stuart, I'd like to thank you very much for a really good day and giving me the opportunity and our listeners to follow you.
You're welcome. Thanks very much.
You're welcome. All the best now.